There's a lot of people who may or may not know they're in big financial trouble. And my concern is today there's a lot of people, maybe they're not rich, but they're going to go broke. But let me give you my background on this whole thing about why we're in this crisis. 1974, I was just getting out of the Marine Corps. I was stationed in Hawaii at Kaneohe Bay Marine Corps Air Station, and I was looking for a job. So I went and I got a job with the Xerox Corporation, not because I love Xerox machines, but I had to learn how to sell. And that was the main reason. So I interviewed with two companies, IBM and Xerox. I took Xerox. At the same time, there was this new thing called ERISA, which I really wasn't paying much attention to, but because I was interviewing with people, I kept hearing things called ERISA. And ERISA stands for Employee Retirement Income Security Act. And every time they say that governments tell you they're going to secure your retirement, you know it's toast. I mean, I don't trust my government as far as I can throw it, and you can't throw it anywhere. So ERISA then led to this thing called the 401k. So over the next couple of years, like say 74 to like 78, I saw this exodus of school teachers leaving the profession, because my whole family of school teachers, and they were becoming financial planners. It sounded good, like they were experts and all this. And all I was saying to my sick and not so politically correct dark side, this is the poor leading the foolish. And I said, we're going to have a disaster coming. So you have these guys who know nothing about money, school teachers or all these other people who are just quitting their jobs to have a profession called financial planner. And then they were advising people who knew nothing about money about their financial future. I said, man, there's going to be a train wreck in the future. Well, this is the show. The SOS is here. So if you are an old guy like me, a baby boomer who's had a 401k or an IRA, what I call defined contribution, DC pension plans, this is your show. And if you're a young person with a 401k, I'll take laps around the rosary beads for you tonight because you're an idiot. So this is what this show is about, because you might be in financial trouble, your parents or your grandparents might be in severe financial trouble today, because that 1974 Act, the ERISA Act, which led to the 401k and these IRAs and Roth IRAs, was specially designed for people who want to be told what to do. Go to school, get a job. Dave Ramsey's a friend of mine, and he says live debt-free. And truthfully, most people should do that, but I would never do that. Debt is money. So I come from the other side of the coin. It's all coins of three sides, heads, tails, and the edge. So on the other side of the coin is Dave Ramsey saying live debt-free, and most people should because they don't know how to handle debt. On the other side of the coin is I went to school to learn how to handle debt, how to raise capital using other people's money. And when you've lost somebody's money, it's pretty frightening. And so that's why I don't do this stuff, because that's the problem. You got conditioned to be led by foolish people who tell you what to do with your money. And I meet so many young people, I got a great job. It's got a 401k. I drop to my knees and take laps around the rosary beads. I said, this person's in severe trouble down the road. So with that, as you know, the markets are crashing. Our debt to GDP ratios are now like 125%. It's never been this high. We're the biggest debtor nation in the world, and people are in trouble. I don't really know what's going to happen, but something has to give. You just cannot keep printing money to solve financial problems. But if you awaken your financial genius, greed is good. I mean, getting rich is fun. It's the most fun game I play. And the reason I like it is because markets go up and markets go down. It's like life. And it's just real life. But most people, so awaken your financial genius and take control of your financial future. So that's what happened for me, was that when having a rich dad and a poor dad, I saw my poor dad, a PhD from Stanford and Chicago and University in Northwestern. He was just so content to have a PhD and a job and a government pension. Government pension is kind of a defined benefit plan where you guaranteed a paycheck for life. That's defined benefit. And that's why so many people are government employees, which is why our government's going broke. And all these people who get a government job for the defined benefit pension plan. We all know that. We know you're cowards. And, you just want to be told what to do and have somebody take care of you, give you a bottle of milk, which is no baby formula in it, unfortunately, but you're sucking on the nipple of the government, and the government's broke. That's a defined benefit pension plan. And then in 1974, they shuffled off to Buffalo all the baby boomers into defined contribution, which meant you had to contribute to it. And if it was there when you retired, good luck. You were lucky. But if it's not there, and that's what we're saying with this SOS show, it might not be there. Our education system is so corrupt, broken, and woke right now. But most academics have this point of view. I'm not interested in money. There's a self-righteous, stupid, underlying attitude, because I grew up with them. I'm not interested in money. I'm just going to do a good job for the kids because my whole life is dedicated to the kids. Well, why don't you educate them about money? Well, because I'm not interested in money. And there's this underlying mantra I've heard in so many people who are government employees. I'm just not interested in money. It's the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard, because they're the first guys that fight when you take their paycheck away. And they'll sell their soul for their paycheck. But given the state of the economy, the stock market, and our brilliant leadership under Biden and Kamala, the border Harris czar, a war in Ukraine and inflation going through the roof and Elon Musk laying off 10% of his workforce, we're talking about what you can do now given the state of the economy. And if you're praying for your retirement, let's say you're 65, you might be in serious trouble. I think in the baby boom generation, they're out of time. There's a very big difference because time is a big factor in this whole thing. So it's good. The crypto guys are learning it early. But the problem with our generation, my generation, was we came of age around, let's say, 1970. Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, and all we knew was a boom economy. Even right after 2008, they just printed more money and it kept booming. But that's why I said our debt to GDP is now 125%. It means for every dollar we bring in, we're spending, we can't cover it. Our tax dollars can't cover it. So they keep borrowing more money. Not really borrowing more money, but kind of propping the market up. Yeah. And now we're at the end of the line. But after you kind of realize what was going on in the stock market, all markets boom and all markets bust. But this could be the biggest bust in world history. It's a global bust. We might have a global depression again. I grew up in a family of government employees, and their whole thing is a self-righteous attitude is, I'm not interested in money. I just want to do a good job for the community. Biggest lie I ever heard. You try to take their paycheck away, they fight like dogs. They'll bite you in the hand. It's the biggest lie. And so many people will sell their soul now. They'll do anything to keep that job. But they're not interested in money because money is the root of all evil, And that's what I hear going on all the time. So anyway, let's start this whole thing off is when financial planners became the fad new profession, every school teacher, not every, but, they were just leaving in droves. Poor leading the blind. It's just shocking what's happened. Our problem is education. It's so hardcore Marxist right now. That is the communist game plan. It has always been to invade higher education. Yeah. So in 1930, the Frankfurt School sent teachers to Columbia University in New York, and that's when the student protests began. And America became communist through our education system. I'm making more money than ever before today, but because I am a proactive investor. I was just saying to John, I just sold 2 properties that we made quite a bit of money on. And I said, where do you put your money? Well, you put it in cash. I bought Wagyu bulls, breeding bulls. This is a Japanese breeding bull, which I always wanted to be, but never got there. But anyway, I'm in the food business now. And I'm in the oil business, and not stock business. I don't trust stocks or bonds. I never have. I don't have any. Well, I do have some, but they're companies I took public. But I am proactive, and most people, like you say, want to be told what to do. So I write about what I do in all my books. There's a difference there. So I just said, just recently I sold 2 pieces of land. I made $400,000, and I'm putting it into Wagyu cattle and cows. And next May, they drop more cattle. So it's called cash flow, It's not that hard to do, but you have to kind of know what you're doing. So my whole strategy, being a Marine and a C student and never been bright in school, I always ask people who are doing what I wanted to do. So my friend who is investing in the bulls, that's what he does. He invests in bulls. And this bull is $500,000, and he breeds, probably several hundred cows a year. And think of all the calves that drop from that. That's leverage. I just kind of like the whole formula, and I like to eat. Now, if you don't like to eat beef, chew on some celery. I don't really care. But you get your little personal dignity up there, and you miss the whole point here. Invest in what people need. People need oil. I invest in it. People need housing. I invest in it. People need food. I invest in it. There's a very big difference, but I invest with people who are doing what we invest in. There's a certain female that's famous on television, especially PBS. Jesus, cut up your credit cards and live below your means and diversify. I call it diversification, de-worsify. Just de-worsify your account. So this person was charged or something, right? And we won't mention her name.
I think it was a debit card fraud, amongst other things.
I sit there and watch all this horror show going in front of us, and then so many people are being trained because they go to school, tell me what to do.
It's why 78% of people, working adults, these aren't homeless people, are living paycheck to paycheck. That's why. Tell me what to do.
So let me give you an example. Dave Ramsey is a friend of mine. His advice is solid. Live debt-free. But the other side of the coin is somebody like me, and what I studied was how do I use debt as money, because debt became money in 1971. So I learned how to borrow money because debt is tax-free. Then I invest in property, and then I get my income tax-free because of appreciation, depreciation, amortization. These are tax laws. But that takes study. You don't just do it overnight, but you got to study. If you want to be told what to do, just listen to the TVs and pray. The buy, hold, and pray, I call it. During a crash is when you make most of your money. When Kim and I started out, I don't know how many years ago now, it was miserable. Tenant problems, breakdowns, this, that, painting, costs go above your rents, and you learn management so quickly.